That was awesome.
It was, honestly, it was one of the most beautiful moments of my life. And the idea that not only did the president allow that to happen, but for them, you know, it's so awkward. The whole thing is so awkward to be, you know, this action was never, the guys that I served with were such wonderful people to me, and I have children because of what they did for me. And so it's like, well, one day you get your life saved by your team leader. I got a kid named Chuck Knapp who stopped us from going into a building that was wired to blow. He saved our entire platoon. You know, we go in that building, we're done. That's one day. The next day, you know, you get in a firefight. And then the next day, another guy does something incredible, and it saves your life. And then out of all of that, they're like, this guy, you know, this action, this is what we're going to acknowledge. And I never really had a decent feeling for embedded reporters. I didn't think journalists belonged on the battlefield. I always felt like I was obligated to protect them. And this Michael Ware guy from Time Magazine, just an incredible, brave, crazy, wonderful, beautiful man. It totally changed my mindset on what the role is of combat journalists and, you know, combat cameramen. If it's not for them, nobody knows what we do. And I really believe that if it wasn't for his work, I don't think, you know, the Time Magazine article, everything else, the attention was brought to this action. And so I just wanted to make sure that my guys were there, because they're the reason why I'm here, and we all did this together. And hopefully the next guy who gets the Medal of Honor, or girl who gets the Medal of Honor, they continue that. You should bring your troops up. It's a shared award. We did it together. And the president, he asked me, you know, I said, can I bring my guys up? He's like, how many? And I'm like, all of them, you know? And he's like, how many? And I'm like, all of them. There's 32. And all of a sudden a clown car opens up, and, you know, the floorboards of the White House open up, and 32 guys come up on that stage. And it was my interpreter, my Iraqi interpreter, who's now a U.S. citizen, Sammy. He was there. I brought Gold Star families up. It made it cool. We did it together, and it made it easier for me. It really did. It was a beautiful moment. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, Scott Lawson, I lost him in 2013. He was one of my dearest friends. I loved him. He was in that house with me that day. Captain Sean Sims was killed 2 days later. Ed Iwan, my XO, was killed the next day. Sean Sims was my company commander. The first guy we lost was our Sergeant Major, Stephen Falkenberg. And that's your Sergeant Major, your company commander, your XO. We lost J.C. Madison, a scout. You know, you always tell young people to know your job 2 levels up, and you never really realize why. I had a soldier once that we were getting ready for Fallujah, and we were packing all these body bags, and every soldier had to carry a body bag. And one of my soldiers, Stuckert, said to me, hey, Sarge, I don't care about the enemy. I'm not going to put them in a bag. We'll do what we always do. We'll take care of them, and whatever. We'll clean it up after we're done. But why do we need body bags? And I was like, Stuck, that's your body bag. That's what you're carrying. You're carrying your own body bag, bro. That's not for the enemy. It's for you. So just FYI, you know, that's why you're doing it. And it was eye-opening. And after about 4 days, it was cold, and there was nowhere to sleep. And the only way you could really get warmth was to sleep in body bags. And so now these kids are basically getting warmth in their own, you know, it's psychologically, you know, it's a lot to ask of these young people. And when we look at these kids in Walmart, or you see a kid in the mall and they're a soldier, a vet, you don't know what they've been through, you don't know what they've done. We're a special, in a tribal society where everyone designates themselves as Catholic, Italian American, gay, straight, whatever. veterans are one big tribe, and we do everything together. And I don't really particularly care who you voted for. I don't really care what you look like, who you love. I care about your willingness to be there. That to me is everything. And I'm super proud of the men of 2-2 Infantry and 1st ID and those soldiers I served with, Fitzy and Cantrell and Hardaway and Lawson and Hall and Meese. I love them. I love them. They're my family, and there's no way I could have done any of this without them. And I'm so glad they were there with me. You know.
You remember all the names. I
remember all the names. They're my family. I mean, it's like you remember your uncle. Yeah. I talk to them every chance I get. I love them. I have. What's funny is the older we get, I think we. I was always insecure about telling another man that I cared about him. When I was serving, I didn't want to hug. I was a tough guy. The older you get, and you have kids, and you get old, and you realize the one thing that was really special about the White House experience, this award, was I was able to tell people how I really felt about them. And we're at the age now, 15 years later, where we don't care. So now you meet your friend and you haven't seen him in 15 years. You're like, dude, I love you, and I'm so glad to see you, and I really care about you. And I wasn't able to do that before, and it's neat to be able to be at a part of your life where you're able to express how you feel about people.
That wall came down. Yes,
sir. Yeah, the wall's gone, and you're just able to emote and tell people how you feel, and. If there's anything really cool about this process was that, we were able to be together, to share this together, and that was a gift for me.
Yeah. You spoke in the past about peer pressure. You said when you're 13 years old, peer pressure to smoke, and you're when you're around good people, you're peer pressure to do good things.
Absolutely, it's all who you surround yourself with. If you surround yourself with good people, they're gonna shame you into doing things you normally wouldn't do, like clear a road of IEDs or kick a door down or run out there and take fire. It really is who your peers are. And I guess the one thing I could tell a civilian, especially now that I'm out there trying to tell parents to give us their kids, we're gonna love your children like they're ours. We are. We're gonna take care of them. And there's something really special about my service. It made me a better person. I think you could say that about everyone's service. It made you a better person. It made you a better citizen, a better employee, husband, father, whatever it is. I think we're better for our service. And in a time when college is so accessible, everyone can get a degree. What does it mean? You went to school. Your service, that defines who you are. And so many colleges are like breeding this perpetual adolescence. Like, you want an adult coloring book, keep the band together. You're 35, living with your mom. That's cool. Be a kid as long as you want. But the Army and the military, we crush adolescence. We destroy it. This is an adult world, and you got to be an adult. And there's tough things you're going to have to do, and there's tough decisions you have to make, but we don't really particularly want you to be a child in perpetuity. We want you to be an adult. And that means that, you got to do tough things sometimes. And I'm super proud to have served in a unit where every one of those young people were men. And the women we served with served with honor and distinction. And, there's a lot of people that want to talk about women in combat. And I bring up Leanne Hester. She's a first Silver Star recipient, female since World War II. People talk about women's role in combat. Well, ask the 3 people Leanne Hester dispatched, the enemy that she took care of. We train all soldiers the same. and we're out there fighting together. And I'm really proud of my generation. I really am, and I'm super proud of the Iraq War and the men and women who served out in Iraq. There's a tendency to look at Iraq and Afghanistan, and, you know, like the good war was Iraq, or the good war, I'm sorry, was Afghanistan. Afghanistan was the war of necessity. Iraq was the war of choice. It was based on bad intel. And somehow, like, we got this chip on our shoulder, you know, like good war, bad war. And, you know, being the only guy from Iraq, it's really kind of made me just a draftee for the Iraq mission. And that's uncomfortable too, because so many Americans already have their preconceived notions. But the Iraq veteran has nothing to be ashamed of. We did everything we were asked to do. Whether we agreed with the war or disagreed, we served. We were asked to do something, we did it, and we're unapologetic about it.
You wrote a book.
Yeah. You know, honestly, if I could go back, I probably wouldn't have. Because it's not the process. The publisher, the guy I wrote the book with, John Bruning, is one of the most incredible. The process was great. The people I worked with were amazing. But I don't want to be a part of a cottage industry. So at the time I wrote the book, nobody had written a book before, and it was. I tried to write a memoir, not a memoir. I wanted to talk about my guys. I wanted to talk about my experience, and so many books since then have come out and have been like, you know, how many people there's a genre out there of war pornography, and that really bothers me. And I never wanted to be a part of that. I wanted to be different, and I don't know if it was. I don't know today if I would have made that same choice. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's really good for the generation or good for that generation of valor. You know, I feel a little bit conflicted now about that.
Well, what were you hoping for people or your readers? What were you hoping for people to leave them with?
I want people to know that it doesn't matter what your MOS is. It doesn't matter what fight you got or didn't get. You volunteered to go. And that means that you volunteered to be a part of something. And whether you were a water purification specialist or a heavy wheel mechanic, I have no idea what you've been through, and I'm never going to judge your experience. I don't know what you saw, what you did, but damn it, I'm so proud that you did it, and you're a part of what I'm a part of. And I just, you know, we talk about, if I served with you and I found out that you were in a spot that you needed help. I don't know you. I know you're wearing the same uniform as me. You got the same bad haircut. You know, you got a flag on your shoulder. I'm going to come get you, right? But my point is that when we come home, we got guys that are suffering right now. We got guys that are hurting, and we have women that are going through things. And it's, for some reason, when you're deployed, I'll go through a wall for you, but when you're home, you know, I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want that 2 a.m. call. It bothers me. I don't want to answer my phone at 3 and hear a guy drunk and hurting. I gotta address that, and it's tough to address that. It's tough to be there for your buddies, and we have to do a better job of taking care of each other. NCOs are NCOs forever. Soldiers are soldiers forever. And there's people that are hurting and struggling, and we ought to be there for those guys. We really do. And I take it seriously, and I'm better for serving. I'm glad I had that experience, but at the same time, we've lost way too many guys that just needed a friend or needed to know they were normal again, and we have to do a better job of taking care of those boys.
How do you feel about the phrase, everything happens for a reason?
I don't know. That's funny. Yeah, I guess it bothers me. Everything happens for a reason, does it? I don't know how I could tell a parent who lost someone, it's really tough for me to, especially with Gold Star families, you know, that loss is, time doesn't heal anything. And I see people that lost, people 15 years ago. My company commander, Sean Sims, I met his son, who's like, 16, 17 years old, never knew his dad. And he's such a beautiful kid. And his father is all over that kid. And I'm telling him stories about his dad that he doesn't, he doesn't know because he never had the chance to meet his dad. And all his dad wanted, was to be able to raise him and let him know why he was doing what he was doing. And so I just, I think Americans need to know that empty chair at Thanksgiving, it's not just holidays, it's every single day. And that sacrifice is incredible. And our generation has been at war for 18 straight years. No generation of American has ever done that. And we've got people going 6, 7 times. Families are disrupted. Children lose their parents. Marriages break up. And, I don't expect the population to understand that, but we understand that. I'm not expecting the VA to paratroop in and save my friends. We have to do it ourselves. We got to let people know that we love them, that they're important to us, that we're in this together. And it's super awkward to wear this thing. It's harder to wear it than to earn it, by far. And I don't feel comfortable. Man, Army's put me on the road all the time since this thing happened. And I can't, I'm going to tell them about Stephen Falkenberg and Scott Lawson and Sean Sims and Victor Rosales and Gary Entis and Sprayberry and J.C. Madison and all the guys that are gone, because their families, Americans need to know those names. It's not about writing their name on a wall. It's about acknowledging how these men died, how these women died, and why they died. And they died so that I could be here, because that mission could have been my mission. They chose to do it. They went out there for me, and they didn't come home. And my job is to remind people that there are people out there that are willing to do things for other people because they love this country, they love their way of life, and they're willing to do whatever it takes to keep it going. And that is the absolute definition of love. It's the one thing I never expected to see in a battlefield was love. And that really is the basis of why we fight. It's love. It really is.
A good friend of mine, JT, is the guy that takes photos. He says, to truly capture war is to capture the man's face in front of you, because that's where the war is happening.
That's pretty good.
Do you remember? You have a lot of names that you remember. Do you remember those faces?
Every day. I used to use the image of guys that were hurt as like a motivating factor. I remember thinking of a shredder. I would envision a shredder and just taking images of people I loved and just shredding them and working myself up to a lather where I just wanted to go out there and just rip apart anyone that was in front of me. And when you have hate, when you fight with hate, it's like nitrous oxide. It gets you fast, and then you burn your engine out. There's nothing left with hate. Hate does not deliver you. Hate gets you 25 seconds into a fight, and then you're empty, and you're void, and you got nothing going. The bland reality of death is just, what the hell was this for? You can't fight with hate in your heart. You have to fight with love, and remember that the essence of valor is really love. You know, why we do what we do is because we care and because we want to take care of those guys that you know we lost.
Yeah, absolutely. What's you know, looking back, what's something that you believe to be true about war until you discover you were wrong about it?
Man, I didn't know anything about it. You know, I don't know how to train someone for something I've never done before. I heard this guy talk about, I don't even know what it was, a comedian, it was a writer, but he was saying like, how do you practice catching a bullet with your teeth? You know, I go to a circus and you see this guy like catching a bullet and you're like, if that was real, right? If you could actually catch a bullet with your teeth, do you just have someone like tossing you bullets and then like, you know, eventually he's like, this one's coming faster, Gino, you know, like shoot. How do you do that? How do you train someone for something you've never done yourself? And the reality is that you have to know your subordinates, you have to love your subordinates, and you have to tell them that if you get hit, I'm going to get hit too. If we open the door and we see the face of the devil, Lucifer himself, the worst thing you could ever imagine, I'm not prepared for it, but I promise you that I'll do it with you. And together we will stick our boot in his chest and knock him down. But I don't know what it's going to be like. I don't know what it's going to be like afterwards. But during that moment, I'm going to be there. That's all I can promise you is that I'm going to be there. And do infantry with every single man loved me. I loved them. And we did everything together. Everything together. We ate together. We fought together. We grieved together. We had joy together. And it's the most beautiful experience in the world to experience that together. And honestly, I heard a Vietnam guy told me that post-traumatic stress is the reality that you'll never do anything of significance again, right? It's so true.
Coming back to reality.
It's where is everyone?
Yeah.
I used to, you know, I was an 800-pound gorilla when I had 11 guys behind me. And then I'm in line at Starbucks and some guy cuts in front and I'm like, Nap, Ruiz, go get them. You know, where are they? They're not there anymore, you know. I'm not that tough without my boys, you know.
What's that like going from such an extreme level to back down to
it's humbling.
To Walmart's and Starbucks.
It's humbling.
And you know, like just the basic weirdness of normal grind. It's hard because you know, getting out of the military, that's why, you know, joined back into the Air Force and worked for the Air Force because I didn't want to leave that lifestyle.
It's so much comfort. It's so much comfort. It's great. In a way, you know, maybe, I don't know, maybe civilian life is more difficult because it requires us to do things on our own, you know? It requires us to trust our peers. You know, I became a civilian. I realized right off the bat, you know, civilians don't care when you have to go to the bathroom. I would tell everyone, hey, I got to go use the head. I'll be back. And I was like, hey, no one cares, dude. Stop telling us when you have to go to the bathroom. Hey, I'm going to have a smoke break. No one cares. No one wants to hear that. It's tough, but I miss it. And, you know, it's the worst time of your life. It's the best time of your life. But now I realize that my job now is just to remind as many people as possible that we got to be ready for the next one. And there's a whole new generation out there. You know, this generation, iGen, millennials, everyone wants to crap on them and say how worthless they are. And they said it about us. You know, Generation Xers, we played PlayStation 1. You know, we were couch potatoes and no one thought we were worth anything. Towers fell. Now we're, you know, give these guys 6 flag passes. They're the greatest kids in the world, you know. This generation's no different. They're going to get tested. They're going to do everything their country asked them to do, and they're ready. And, you know, any part I could play in helping, you know, provide that strength, that, you know, it's well worth it.
My last question for you.
Yeah.
luck. I've interviewed a ton of veterans throughout their time about luck. You know, they said I should have zigged when I zagged. Some of their call names are chance. Interviewed one guy that was on a plane called Lucky Me, and when he wasn't on that plane, the entire plane went down. Lost his entire crew. What do you think about luck in life?
Stephen Falkenberg was mid-40s, most experienced guy in our battalion. He was our sergeant major, our surrogate father figure. He's the first guy to get killed, first American to be killed in Fallujah. Random, round hits him, and it's what it is. What are you going to do? It's the reality of combat. In the history of architecture, there's two types of doors. There's a corner-fed door, a center-fed door. Machine guns are behind that door. If you're a Navy SEAL or you're a brand new green recruit, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. What's different from us and normal civilians is that we're just moving forward. You give up that happenstance of what's going to happen when I go in. It's just a matter of those guys, those men and women that are with you. You're doing it together, and you're just it's all luck. The whole thing is. But I talk to people who have cancer. What do you say to someone who gives birth to a baby and they lose a child? Every day there's something going on in our own backyard that shows people showing a tremendous amount of valor and a tremendous amount of strength, and we're surrounded by these crazy stories all the time. And you can't. How do you explain? You're driving to work and you're doing everything right, and some idiot hits you in a car and kills you. Like, what? How do you explain that to someone? Well, it's the same thing with war. How do you explain the randomness of an IED or a artillery round that hits someone, or a rocket? It's whatever is out there is out there. We're going to hit it head on. We're going to do it shoulder to shoulder, and we're going to grieve when it's time to grieve. But we're going to take as many of those boys out as we possibly can. That's our job. That's our mission. If you don't like it, go to dental school. No one's forcing you to join. But we're going to do this together. And the world needs to know that if you mess with us, you mess with our friends, you better pack your lunch, because we're not gonna stop till it's over. And that's who we are, And do I like it? Am I proud of it? Sorta. I am. I mean, we have a swagger about us, and it's well earned. And our boys in Vietnam taught us that, and World War II and World War I, and that is our legacy as Americans. Is that we don't want war. We've seen it. It's horrible, but it's going to be worse for you. So don't even try it.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
May I? Sorry, forgive me, but I'm just curious. The most important thing that you would bring into deployment.
Most important thing.
Important item.
Oh, man, that's a great question. The most important thing I would bring on a deployment.
Mine is the whoopee.
The whoopee? I don't think it's anything you can pack. I think the most important thing you can bring on your deployment is all the memories of everything you ever loved and had fun doing. And if you could compartmentalize that, that faith, that, just think about those, your granddad, your parents, whatever you had that brought you joy. That really got me through a lot. Just the idea of, why am I doing this every day? What's the point? Everyone gets scared. It's not a matter of, anyone who wants to fight is an idiot. You know what I mean? Like, we're all terrified, but we do it anyway. But the whoopee is a pretty damn good invention, I got to tell you. That that mosquito netting's pretty good too. But I would say the most important thing to bring to a deployment is just just a sense of why you're there. You take every apple pie, every Christmas morning, every Thanksgiving, and on the coldest, most miserable, nasty days, when you're just covered in filth, you just think of that, and that gets you through it. It really does. It's a great question.
Hey, so I got one more for you.
Sure.
What's the most important thing that you brought home from war?
My guys, they're with you every day, and you got to live for those men you lost every single day. You got to do things in your life that they couldn't do. You got to go to those soccer practices, and you're exhausted, you're tired, and your kid wants to do a dance for you, and you think, I don't want to see this dance. I've seen it 15 times. I don't want to do this. My God, I know you're going to tap, you're going to twirl. What you got the ribbons that whatever, but they're never going to have a chance to see their kids do that, and it's my job to do it, and I got to do it for them, and I've got to be the father that these guys weren't able to do, weren't able to be, and I carry those memories of those men every single day.